Howdy, and welcome back to my channel. If you watch my videos regularly, you will know as soon as I set up the camera to film, my cats come to say hello. I think they want to be famous or something, or at least on camera, because they just cannot get enough of the limelight. What are you doing, ducky? Off you go. Thanks for coming to say hi. Anyway, I was cleaning out my closet. Apologies if you can hear the rain in the background. I was cleaning out my closet and I came across this absolutely magnificent book. Egyptology. I mean, this was my childhood in a book. I was lucky enough to get my own copy 1 year for Christmas, I believe, because I used to go to the library every week and read this book. I was obsessed with ancient Egypt as a kid. I have multiple other types of books like this about Egypt that I may show you in future videos. But today I thought it would be fun if we had a little flip through this book together. I mean, it's a relic. So, the reason that these books were so revered by young people and so good is because they're actually interactive. So there's these sections that pop open and it takes you on a journey. I'm not sure if this one it is. Okay. So in this little envelope here is a message. This is what it says. Dear Sir and Madam, further to our telephone conversation, please find enclosed with this letter the Egyptian book we discussed. As I mentioned, this is the journal of my great aunt, Miss Emily Sands, who was a keen amateur Egyptologist. I think you will agree that it has a unique and unusual history. In 1926, 4 years after the discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun, a group of Egyptologists led by my great aunt set out across Egypt, armed with the papyrus text of almost unimaginable antiquity. This papyrus had been brought to England sometime in the early 18th century and then found its way into the possession of the Farncombe family. I remember reading somewhere that there was speculation that this previous manuscript described the actual location of the lost tomb of Osiris. That in fact, the whole legend of the god Osiris, his enmity with his brother Seth, his eventual murder, and his secret burial by his wife Isis were perhaps folk memories of a real king of Egypt who lived during the earliest period of Egypt's civilization. The reason for this speculation was that the image on the papyrus showed Isis granting eternal life to her husband in a most unusual fashion on one side, while mentioning that Osiris was in the Holy Mound on the other. This Holy Mound has on occasion been associated with the island of Biga near Aswan. It appears my great aunt, being a good friend of the then Lady Farncombe, was shown the text, whereupon she persuaded her friend to mount an expedition to seek out the lost tomb. The expedition went ahead in November 1926, but after several progress reports, my great aunt and her companions vanished into the desert and never to be heard of again. Essentially, it goes on a little more, but that is how you came to be in possession of this Egyptology search for the lost tomb of Osiris. So this normally comes like tied together. Here it says on Monday the 1st of November, arrival at Cairo. Yesterday I had my first glimpse of the pyramids on the train to Cairo, potent symbols of the mysterious land of Egypt. They reminded me of all I have come to discover: the dusty tombs, the ornate temples, the golden treasures, and the strange, unearthly mummies. There is a little... This is the Farncombe Papyrus. Here it says the two lines of hieroglyphs on the left read, Isis, Lady of Heaven, Mistress of Gods, she grants that you may live forever and eternity. On the right, Osiris, the great god, foremost in the west, Lord of Osiris, who is in the Holy Mound. That just goes in here. Here she's mentioning that in order to travel up the River Nile, she's hired an old-fashioned dahabeah or a sail barge. It comes complete with its captain and crew called the Bennu Bird. At Patsy's, I spoke to some archaeologists who were going out to Giza. They told me that excavations in Egypt and near the pyramids and elsewhere continue apace, with exciting discoveries being made on an almost daily basis. This is a diagram here of the crowns of Egypt. As king of both Upper and Lower Egypt, the pharaoh wore a double crown made up of a white crown of Upper and a red crown of Lower. Their blue crown here, this is known as the war crown because scenes of Seti I and his son Ramses II show them wearing it in battle. And here we have some more notes and the chronography of Egypt, the time periods. Notes on ancient Egypt. Despite the curator's doubts, I am not going to give up my search for the lost doom. Instead, I have decided to make a few notes about some of the ancient Egyptian gods. There were hundreds of them, but the ones I am interested in are those linked to Osiris. I also have brought a map showing the main sites in Egypt. So Isis was the wife of Osiris. And here we have Horus, son and avenger of Osiris. Dead Horus became king of Egypt after his father's death. He ruled justly, and many temples were raised in his worship. And here we have Seth, the enemy of Osiris. His brother Seth coveted the throne of Egypt for many years. It is said that after he killed Osiris, Seth cut the body into pieces before hiding them in 14 different secret locations. We have the distances in miles. Melbourne or Sydney or anywhere in Australia isn't. Oh, Sydney is here. Sorry, my bad. Sydney is 8,954 miles from Cairo. And this is a map of ancient Egypt, or just of Egypt. But it's got the sites of ancient Egypt. That's the map that she mentioned that she bought. A trip to Giza. I have no doubt that we will not find the tomb of Osiris near the pyramids. Having been around for mere 4,600 years, they are not nearly old enough. Still, one can hardly visit Cairo without taking the tram out to the Giza Plateau to survey the most magnificent of all monuments. Notes on the pyramids. As we climbed about the torches inside the tunnels and chambers of pyramids, Mr. Deek told us how they were built originally as the tomb of some of the old kingdom's pharaohs. Statues of some of these pharaohs have been found in temple ruins nearby. A statue of King Menkura and his wife was found in his valley temple near the small pyramid. And over here we have the pyramids of Giza in cross section. All three of the main pyramids of kings Khufu, Khafra and Menkaure were broken into antiquity. All of their wonderful treasures were stolen, apart from stone sarcophagi. They now all lie empty. lower outer casing. Here are the chambers, like this. This one. It's also built of limestone with granite burial chamber and a fine white duralime outer casting. And this one, same, built with limestone and granite burial chamber, but it's just more complex. Sagira and Memphis. It has taken only a couple of days to sail the Bennu bird from Cairo to Badrestein. From there we travelled by donkey to Sagira, the burial ground of Memphis, Egypt's most ancient capital city. We will see the step pyramid of Zosa, the Serapeum catacomb of the sacred abyss balls, and the remarkable tomb of animal and bird mummies. These are all the mummies here. And here we've got a small sample of mummy cloth. Mummies have been used for strange things. When American writer Mark Twain visited Egypt, he wrote that they were even used them as fuel for his steamboat. I'm afraid we wouldn't get very far with this piece. And Amarna. The wind dropped and the motor on our Badea was out of action, so we hauled ourselves up the river to the tombs of Beni Hassan. One of the beauties of the Nile that is although it flows north, the prevailing wind blows south. So as long as there's enough wind, no human power is needed to navigate the river. If we had been travelling north, we could simply have drifted with the current. Here is a little fold-out book of understanding hieroglyphs. The ancient Egyptians wrote using picture symbols called hieroglyphs. These symbols stood for both a sound and a word, so the symbol meant both the word ra, meaning mouth, and the sound ah. When the symbol was used for the word, it usually had a line beneath it, like this. Otherwise, it was combined with the other sounds to make words, for example, or meaning name. As we do not know how ancient Egyptian was pronounced, we add an E to an and pronounce it Ren. Besides using single letter signs like Ren and however you say N, the ancient Egyptians also used signs standing for more than one letter like Per, Nerf, and Unk. Again, we add E to the first two, pronouncing Per and Nefer. Here are the single letters here. Oh, I skipped a page. While there were only a few single letter signs, there were many more group signs. Here are a few examples. There was one kind of sign used by ancient Egyptians. This was called the determined particular way, such as Wu or F, always looked forward the beginning of the text. So day can be, and Khufu, one of the pyramids or pharaohs, could be this one or this one. Here are the names of the pharaohs in the 18th dynasty. Each pharaoh had up to 5 different names, but we are most familiar with his son of Ra name. Pretty cool. The secret to understanding hieroglyphs was lost until the Rosetta Stone was discovered by a French soldier in 1799. That's the Rosetta Stone there. I've been lucky enough to see the real stone in real life, which was incredible. At the sacred Abydos. At last we have arrived at Abydos, the most sacred site in all of Egypt and the center of Osiris worship. Here behind the temple of Seti I, father of Ramses II, there is a mysterious half-flooded temple known as Osirion. I have made contact with an archaeologist friend, Lady Fargo, called Gordon John, who has promised to give us a tour of the whole site. I think this may be a site map of the Temple of Seti. And over here, this is some bracelets in the tomb, and here some archaeological tools. This is a game called Senet. I've heard of it before. Here has the little pieces. But let's find out the rules. Up here, rules of Senet. How to play. To play Senet, you need 2 players, a board, 10 playing pieces of 5 spools and 5 cones, 4 counting sticks, plain on one side, decorated on the other. Imagine the board like this, the numbers showing direction of play. Arrange all of the pieces, playing pieces alternatively, cone, spool, cone, etc., along the board from 1 to 10. Each player throws the counting sticks to determine his move. The first player who throws a 1 starts. He then throws the sticks, noting down his scores until he throws a 2 or a 3. He then moves a piece or pieces forward, the distance given by his different throws. Note, a piece may jump other pieces. A piece may land on an opponent's piece and swap places for it unless the opponent's piece is guarded. A backwards move is possible only if no forward move is available. If no move can be made, the player must pass. All pieces must land on square 26. This sounds very complicated. Valley of the much hope to meet Howard Carter, but he was indisposed. I suppose this may have something to do with the fact that the tomb he undiscovered of Tutankhamun has some 20,000 visitors since he first opened it in 1922. This is what was found in Tutankhamun's grave. This is his sarcophagus. The second coffin is made of gold foil laid over wood, and like each of the other coffins, it reproduces the features of the young pharaoh. The third coffin is made up of about 240 pounds of solid gold. The third coffin is the single largest piece of ancient gold workmanship ever to have discovered anywhere in the world. The mummy wrappings. Among many wrappings of the mummy, Carter has found a whole host of jewels, amulets, and magical charms, all designed to protect the king in the afterlife. Very important. He was only 19 years old when he died. Here we have Karnak and the Colossi. We were caught in a fierce sandstorm as we followed the famous avenue of sphinxes from the temple of Karnak to the temple of Luxor. From Luxor, site of the ancient Egyptian capital of Thebes, we crossed the river and visited the famous singing statues of Menon, two huge sandstone colossi that stand some 60 feet high. It's a little postcard. Ozymandias. I met a traveller from an ancient land who said, two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk, a shuttered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lips and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed, and on the pedestal these words appear, my name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty and despair. Nothing besides remains round the decay of the colossal wreck, boundless and bare. The lone and level sands stretch far away. City of Hawk. It's Christmas Day, so we are celebrating in style with pudding that HW has bought all the way from London. It is just what I need to cheer me up. Despite my mysterious encounter at Luxor, I don't seem to be getting any closer to Osiris or his doom. This is the Temple of Horus. At the Temple of Horus, built on the site of the mighty battle between Seth and Horus, we learned that the statue of the gods were not always kept locked away in their sanctuaries, but were brought out on special feast days. The image of the god Horus and Edfu was brought out once a year to celebrate his marriage to the goddess Hathor. Her image was brought by river to Dendera, 100 miles to the north. Here's a little Christmas card. Also, if you watch my videos frequently, you'll have noticed this Ankh ring. This was a ring that my parents got in Egypt when they went luck charm. I also have a really badly done Ankh tattoo that's hidden behind my watch, but the symbol is very meaningful to me and my mum, which is why I wear it always. This page is a trip to Nubia. I'm anxious to get to Philae, for I now feel sure that this is our destination. But I am equally keen to learn as much as I can about ancient Egypt before starting any excavations. So we are first going south to visit Abu Simbel in our nearby kingdom of Nubia. Here we have some sketches. Back to Philae. Having enjoyed very much of our stay at Abu Simbel, we have turned around and headed back downriver to the granite quarries of Aswan and the Temple of Iris at Philae. In my bones, I feel we are closing in on our target, and so I am studying a little more about the ancient Egyptian customs for burial of the dead. I have a copy of the Egyptian Book of the Dead just off camera. Let me show you something though. How cute are they? And the Egyptian Book of the Dead is just over there under the Cat Bible Earth Tarot. Anyway. Let's see what chapter. This is chapter 30b. This chapter for not letting Ani's heart create a opposition against him in the god's domain. Osiris, the scribe, Ani saith, my heart, my mother, my heart, my mother, my heart, my coming into being. May there be nothing to resist me at my judgment. May there be no opposition to me from the tribunal. May there be no parting for thee from me in the presence of him who keepeth the scales. Thou art my car within my body, which kinneth and strengtheneth my limbs. Mayest thou come forth to place the happiness to which I am advancing. May the entourage who make men not cause my name to stink, and may no lies be spoken against me in the presence of the God. Good is it for thee to hear. Thou, the righteous judge of the great company of the gods who are in the presence of the god Osiris, saith, hear ye this judgment. The heart of Osiris hath in very truth be rated, and his soul hath stood as a witness for him. It hath been found true by trial in the great balance. There hath not been found any wickedness in him. He hath not wasted the offerings in the temple. He hath not done harm to by his deeds, and he uttered no evil reports while he was upon earth. The great company of gods replied to Thoth, who is Hermolopolis, that which cometh forth from thy mouth hath been ordained. Osiris, the scribe Ani triumphant, is holy and righteous. He hath not sinned, neither hath he done evil against us. Let it not be given to the devourer Amat to prevail over him. Meat offerings and entrance into the presence of the god Osiris shall be granted upon him, together with the grant of land of the field of offering, for the followers of Horus. That is harder to say than I thought. The Doom of Osiris, ? I could hardly sleep with excitement today. We went to the island of Giza. I decided I might as well make a few more notes on the ancient Egyptian idea of the afterlife. After all, if Osiris is the god of the dead, then perhaps in finding his doom we should prepare for almost anything. Despite our encounter with the so-called priestess, we have decided, in the interest of science, to try fitting the amulet into the hole tomorrow after we have a chance to inform the local authorities. Then we will inform the world, hopefully, of some stupendous finds. Here it says, publisher's note. At this point, Emily Sand's journal ends abruptly. It was followed by several blank pages, some of them bearing coffee ? Stains, which have not been included in this. So we never find out the mystery. Dear Mrs. Sutherland, I have read your great aunt's journal with interest. My first impression was that the whole was an elaborate spoof, but on reflection I feel less ready to dismiss it out of hand. In some respects, it is very like other accounts of visits to Egypt written by visitors of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Miss Sands and her party follow a fairly conventional itinerary determined by the course of the River Nile on which they travelled. The notes she included on places visited on the various Egyptological matters are generally accurate, but not very original. No doubt she had a good guidebook to help her. I'm not convinced that the Farncombe Papyrus was truly ancient. Its appearance is convincing, but its content is very dubious. I have not been able to find any reference to it in Egyptological literature, neither have I been able to find any contemporary account of the Sands' disappearance. The very idea of discovering the tomb of Osiris is somewhat fanciful, although the mysterious disappearance of the body was very puzzling. I am not a believer in mummy curses, but the world is not without other, more prosaic manifestations of maleficence. As it stands, I think the journal might make an interesting, if curious, publication. It has great charm, and the illustrations are very evocative of travel in Egypt 80 years ago. It should be reproduced as it stands. Tinkering with it might damage its naive attraction. And here at the end we have this, the Eye of Horus, and one final collection that comes with it. Some postcards that must have been found in this video. Leave me a comment down below if you absolutely loved this book when you were a kid as much as I did. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys